Hello everyone, welcome to the U.S. Immigration Hub. Hey there, welcome to U.S. Immigration Updates, where we break down U.S. immigration updates to make your journey smoother and, honestly, a whole lot less stressful. Today we're diving into the latest on Form I-130 processing times for November 2025. If you're sponsoring a spouse, parent, child, or sibling for a green card, these numbers can feel overwhelming, but, knowledge is power. We'll cover the updates for immediate relatives and preference categories, plus a full breakdown by USCIS Service Center. Stick around to the end for tips on checking your own case and what to do next. If this helps, hit that like button and subscribe for monthly updates. Let's get started. Once approved, immediate relatives like spouses or parents of U.S. citizens can move right to adjustment of status or consular processing without visa wait lists. But for preference categories like adult children or siblings, you'll check the monthly visa bulletin for when your priority date becomes current. Here's a quick pro tip. File online if you can, since it's usually faster and USCIS will flag any errors right away. The filing fee is $675 as of 2025, and just a heads up, each family member needs their own petition. 2. Let's go over the overall November 2025 processing times by category. Alright, let's talk numbers. As of November 2025, USCIS processing times for I-130 approvals really depend on the relationship and the petitioner's status. These are median times, so half of the cases are finished faster and half might take a bit longer. Just remember, this is only for USCIS approval. The total wait for a green card can be longer because of visa caps. So here's an updated overview of family-based green card processing times and what applicants should expect. Immediate relatives. Immediate relatives of U.S. citizens, including spouses, parents, and unmarried children under 21, benefit from the fastest immigration track available. With no annual visa cap, their applications typically move through USCIS in about 14 to 15 months, averaging around 14.8 months overall. This category remains the most reliable and efficient route for close family members of U.S. citizens. Family First Preference F1. The F1 category applies to unmarried adult children, 21 and older, of U.S. citizens and faces substantial delays. Median processing times range from 52.5 to 134.5 months, heavily influenced by annual visa limits and persistent global backlogs. Applicants often wait several years, making close monitoring of the monthly visa bulletin essential. So, Family Second Preference F2A. This category covers the spouses and unmarried children under 21 of permanent residents. While USCIS processing usually sits somewhere around 35 to 55 months, high demand frequently leads to priority date queues. That can push the total wait towards 7 to 9 years for many applicants. Despite being one of the quicker preference categories, backlog movement is honestly pretty unpredictable. Family Second Preference F2B. This category, which is reserved for unmarried adult children 21 and older of permanent residents, usually sees median timelines of 55 to 89 months. Typically, I-130 approval takes about 14 to 18 months, and that's usually followed by a pretty lengthy visa wait. Annual caps on LPR sponsorship really do slow this pathway down significantly. So, Family Third Preference, also known as F3, is for married children of U.S. citizens. It's, actually, one of the slowest moving categories, with processing times ranging anywhere from 51 to 178.5 months. Total waits in this category often stretch from 6 to 12 years, depending on the demand from each country. Family Fourth Preference, or F4, covers the sibling category, and honestly, it faces the longest delays of all. We're talking about median processing times from 72 to 156 months, and in real-world situations, waits can reach 12 to even 20-plus years. F4 still remains the most backlogged family-based preference category in the entire system. These ranges are based on USCIS data and trackers like Track My Visa Now, which show a slight uptick from earlier in 2025 due to backlogs. But here's some good news. USCIS actually reduced overall delays by 15% last year and is trending toward faster approvals for immediate relatives. Spouses of citizens, you're looking at 17 to 64 months total in some cases, but many wrap up in under 2 years. If you're in the F4 sibling category, hang in there. It's tough, but families reunite every day. So, 3. Breakdown by USCIS service centers. Processing isn't one size fits all. It depends on which USCIS service center handles your case based on your location. As of November 2025, here's the 80% processing window. Most cases fall here for I-130 immediate relatives. For preference categories, add visa wait times on top. Data pulled from USCIS's official tool last updated late November. USCIS Service Center Processing Time Overview. You know, how long family-based immigration petitions take can feel like navigating a maze blindfolded. Each USCIS service center operates with its own workload, staffing, and case volume, all of which shape processing timelines. Below is an expanded, clearer breakdown of the estimated processing ranges for immediate relatives and family preference categories across the major USCIS service centers. California Service Center, Laguna Niguel, California. Immediate relatives, 12 to 16 months. Family preference categories, 14 to 18 months. F1, F2, 50+ months. F3, F4. The CSC typically handles a heavy caseload, which often pushes F3 and F4 petitions far beyond the standard time frame. Immediate relative petitions remain relatively steady but still slowly paced compared to other centers. Nebraska Service Center, located in Lincoln, Nebraska, processes immediate relatives in about 13 to 17 months. Family preference categories take about 15 to 20 months. For F1 and F2, it's over 55 months. And as for F3 and F4, well, those can take quite a while. Known for wide fluctuations in processing speed, the NSC often sees higher wait times for complex or high-volume categories like F3 and F4. It's important to keep an eye on these variations. Immediate relative cases stay within a moderate but, pretty predictable range. Potomac Service Center, Willowbrook, Maryland, and Jefferson, Virginia. Immediate relatives, that's about 11 to 15 months. Family preference categories, you're looking at 13 to 17 months. F1 and F2, well, that's 48+ months. And for F3 and F4, it's the same, 48+ months. PSC tends to deliver some of the most efficient processing among service centers, especially when it comes to immediate relative petitions. While F3 and F4 still stretch into multi-year waits, they're generally a bit shorter here compared to other centers. Texas Service Center, Irving, Texas. Immediate relatives, that's roughly 14 to 18 months. Family preference categories, it's about 16 to 22 months. F1 and F2, well, that's 60+ months. And for F3 and F4, it's the same, 60+ months. The Texas Service Center is, known for having longer processing windows, especially when it comes to those deeper preference categories. F4 petitioners in particular might face some of the longest queues anywhere in the country. So, the Vermont Service Center is located in Essex Junction, Vermont. For immediate relatives, processing usually takes around 12 to 16 months. For family preference categories, it's typically 14 to 19 months, but for F1 and F2, it can be 52 months or even longer. And for F3 and F4, the wait times are similar. The Vermont Service Center's timelines are, for the most part, pretty consistent, though heavy caseloads in the F3 and F4 categories mean those can stretch beyond 4 years or even more. Processing for immediate relatives tends to align pretty closely with the national averages. PSC is often the quickest for immediate family right now, while Texas sees a bit more volume. These are medians. Your case could be faster. Check which center you're at via your receipt notice. 4 factors affecting times and tips. What impacts these times? Workload spikes, RFEs, requests for evidence. Always double-check docs and visa caps. Alright, so here's how to stay ahead. First off, track your progress weekly. Make sure to use USCIS's processing times tool. It's updated often, so, keep an eye on it. And if you find yourself in a pinch, don't hesitate to expedite if needed. For emergencies like medical issues, submit a request with proof, avoid delays, file complete applications, consider premium processing if eligible, not for most I-130s yet. Visa Bulletin check for F categories. Monitor at travel.state.gov. That's your November 2025 I-130 update, empowering you one fact at a time. Drop a comment. What's your category and how long have you been waiting? Share for support.